tusema Papa asante. Are we ready? Makofi ya kila mtu. Ndio hiyo. Tusema Papa asante kwa ajili gani? Ndio hiyo. Kila mtu makofi.
Asanteni. Hello? Are we better? Asanteni. So kwa heshima basi ningependa kumkaribisha padre wetu, padre ambaye amejiandaa kweli kweli na yuko tayari kutufunza, kutuambia mambo mengi sana. Padre ukimwona can say he's a very beautiful priest, much prepared. He loves young people so much. He has journeyed with us for a long time. Na kila mara yuko tayari sana kutufunza. Ni mwingi lugha, ukimtazama utafikiri ni Mkale, utafikiri ni Mkikuyu, Mkamba. Yasungumza lugha zote. Hata ile lugha ya nyumbani tu hapa, ya Kikisi sungumza yote, Kikale yote. Kijaluo sasa ni adui hata moja, lakini ako tayari siku leo. Karibu sana Father, naomba kwa heshima tupigie makofi ya kilo hata tutakapofika. Karibu sana Father. Karibu sana na tunakupenda. Karibu.
Mungu ni mwema kila wakati.
Mungu ni mwema.
God is good. Wale wa pale, Mungu ni mwema. Mungu sawa? Hakuna shida. Imepotea tena. Na hapa Mungu ni mwema
kila wakati.
kila wakati.
Mungu ni mwema.
Tumsifu Yesu Kristo.
Milele na milele.
Wanafungua mdomo. Tumsifu Yesu Kristo.
Milele na milele.
Mungu ni mwema kila wakati. Hii ni BTI mixed. Oh. So mmependa leo kuwa mixed. So tuko hapa or we're just here to share. I'm not here to talk, eh? We are here to share. Because you know so many things are affecting us, either directly or indirectly, especially for us who are in school or studying. I begin by introducing myself for those who have never seen me. I'm called Father Joab Were Anyumba. Father Joab Were Anyumba. I'm a born Luo. I'm born from Kisumu County, but I'm a missionary priest, a missionary called Contemplative Evangelizers of the Heart of Christ. Currently, I am working in Nairobi and also studying in Nairobi. I'm in the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, or KWEA, doing my PhD in Sacred Theology, a faculty called, or department called Sacred Liturgy. So I'm just here. I was called by Father because last rally I was with you in Bureti. So he told me that those people demanded that you come back. So I don't know what was the demand all about. But I'm here today with that humility and appreciation that we are not going to continue from where we left from Bureti, but we want to evaluate ourselves, check on ourselves, examine ourselves, reflect ourselves on how we manage ourselves. How do we do our managements of self? And most especially, both health of mind, body, and spirit. I was requested to talk about sometimes spirituality, you are affected with some issues, health, especially mental, and also how to relate. So these three things, we'll try to put them into one, and especially on the actions that pertains our mental health. I may not be a psychologist by specialization, but I've done so many disciplines in psychology, both beginning from developmental, environmental, psychological, or integral, going through to even philosophical developments of our lives. So in all the psychologies that you've done, I know you are college students or maybe lecturers around. But what is important for us is to put into practice whatever we are learning. Without it, we are nowhere, or we are going nowhere. And therefore, as we reflect on our mental health, and especially evaluating the life that we are living, as part of the introduction that I've made, we know that we are men and women, or ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing different kinds of health. And speaking matters of health to medics or people in KMTCs, I might be making noise, but it is important to make noise for you today, so that we want to relate this challenge that is affecting us, even the learned, biblically, magisterial teaching or the teachings of the church, then the practicality part of it on the life that we are living. So that's the main reason that I am here, or why I was called to be with you today, just to ask ourselves, are we undergoing some mental challenges, or are we mentally okay? I know you are not sick, but the probability of you becoming sick is 0.9. God is good. God is good. I know that you are okay, you are healthy, but the probability of you becoming sick or unhealthy is very high. Why? We will see in our sharing as we continue. Therefore, while all the gender, that is male and female gender, encounter challenges, especially physical, spiritual, and mental, in different ways, we need to internalize and externalize some of the disorders that leads us to this kind of challenges. I call it challenges because sometimes we are able to encounter them, we are able to deal with them depending on our dispositions. We have what we call depressions and anxieties. Of course, this really affects, according to research, the women gender. I don't know why, but we'll see as the time goes by. Depression and anxiety affect mostly women. Of course, also men are affected, but mostly women or ladies. But on the other side, men or gentlemen are affected by antisocial behaviors, substance abuse, among other problems, mostly more than ladies. But I ask myself, because I normally visit some social areas where people go to rest when they are overburdened, different from what the Bible calls us when we are overburdened. We find that nowadays, when you go to research on pubs and restaurants, areas of social gatherings, the high percentage nowadays of people in those areas are ladies and women. I don't know why. You may be having an answer, but for me, I'm doing a research on why currently most of the social areas, especially restaurants, in bars, are the population is greater of women and ladies. We are still on research on that. So research on gender and mental health suggests that conceptions of masculinity and femininity affect major risks of factors for internalizing and externalizing problems, including stressors for men and women, which are exposed to what we call coping strategies. How do we cope with these issues in us? The spiritual, the physical, and even health issues. Currently or recently, we are also seeing in the trend of many of the medical practitioners taking away their lives. I don't know why also. We are still doing research on it. I don't know why medical practitioners are taking their lives at a high risk or a high percentage. Maybe because of what they are exposed to. Therefore, it's always important to ask ourselves who are in this group of iccsa. How are we able to relate, to help each other, to accommodate the challenges that we are facing? Understanding what mental health is, of course, depends so much on the World Health Organization definitions. And World Health Organization define health as a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of diseases and infirmity. So it's not only based on the absence of disease or infirmity, but it is an intertwined or intersectional between physical, mental, and our social life. Therefore, the concept of mental health, spiritual health, and even the physical health is based on 6 issues or tabs. The first thing is the subjective well-being. And what is it all about? That is self-reported measure of well-being. And how do we obtain this? We are students, we are in class, we know how to do questionnaires. Have you ever made a questionnaire regarding yourself, your personal life, even to ask others about yourself? How do people know you? And how do you understand others? Johari's window, I know you are doing it, will give you the components of evaluation of self, especially the knowledge of God about yourself, the knowledge of others about you, the knowledge of you about yourself, and even what is not known to you. How do you evaluate such and come up or come out with a reported measure of your well-being so that you may be subjective in your wellness? The other or the second concept of all these healths we are talking about is the perceived self-efficacy. What do I mean by this? The belief that you can perform novel or a difficult task and attain an outcome. That ability, that belief in yourself, that you can perform a difficult task, a challenging task, and attain a desired outcome. Many times, those who are in, I'm using medical field because many here are medics or in other kmtcs, a great number. And you know the rank under which your course is given because of the seriousness of handling humanity. That's why failing units will lead you to a repeat of either a semester or academic year. So without the perception of self-efficacy, the second concept I'm talking about, you may not work on your areas of interest and areas of your perceptions. So in order for you as a human being, in order for you as a student, you need to embrace the efficacy of self, the capability, ability to perform whatever comes to you, whatever or whichever situation it is, with nobility. The third concept is about autonomy. And autonomy is the right or condition of self-government or governance. I know up to where you are, it is because you are able to govern yourself. So there's nothing new we can tell you about governing yourself. If it is issues of being heartbroken, you have experienced it. And if you have not, please try to find shock absorbers. If you have not been heartbroken, especially ladies, gents, we have no problem because we are the sources of the don't want to say most especially Lewis. Lewis can character develop you very well. So autonomy. How are you embracing the right and condition of self-governance? I know you have your personal desires. There is what you want to achieve. There is what you have for your life. But without autonomy, without self-governance, it might be difficult to achieve it. And in whatever we are doing, we are working for number 4. That is competence. That in the field that you're in, you are in class or you are in school so that you may achieve the competence required for that field. That is the ability to successfully do and efficiently do whatever you are working for or whatever you want to do. Once upon a time, or we always desire to embrace a certain vocation, either vocation to religious life, vocation to marital life, vocation to, they call it single life. I don't know how single it is when somebody say I am single, but I have 4 kids with different fathers. The father of Chepchirchir, the firstborn, is a Luo. The father of Kipkoskei, the second, is a Kisi. The father of the thirdborn, who is Maina, is a Kikuyu. And the father of the lastborn, the fourthborn, is not known because it was a confusion. It is not known because there was a confusion. I went with this, I went with that, then after that, I came complaining. There was some mismatch of the deadlines of the dates. Then you say, I am a single and not searching. So what is it, the competence that you're looking for as, especially we are here as mainly people geared and directed with a Catholic faith. Therefore, in order for you to integrate yourself, the 5th component is very important, the 5th concept, the intergenerational dependency. How do you depend between your generation and the generation that is either ahead of you or behind you? Statistics or InfoTrack is giving Gen Zs a head high on shaping the nation, but I don't know where they went. They began shaping the nation, but when Odinga, Raila Amolo handshaked with our current president, they disappeared. So we don't know where they are now. So, as people of a specific generation, how is the generation ahead of you, generation behind you, helping you to develop your mental, physical, and even relationships you have to make you healthy? So intergenerational dependence is very important because it gives you a lesson to learn and also encourage you to have what to help the generation coming behind you on a way of life. So it shapes you. And the 6th concept that is very important for us today is recognizing your ability to realize your intellectual and emotional potentialities. How are you potentially, or how are you emotionally potential in managing your challenges? How are you intellectually potential in managing both your physical, mental, spiritual, and even relational health? As we define mental health as a state of well-being where individual recognizes abilities to cope with 3 things. 1, normal stresses of life. 2, work productivity. And 3, fruitfulness. We are called upon as a community of iccsa to find it possible to contribute to this community's health. We are not here, as I said earlier, that we have mental disorders or mental challenges, but we are here to sensitize ourselves, to help others in case we not have those challenges, to enhance competencies in us and in the communities that we are in currently, and the people we will be with in the near future. As a concern because of health, emotional, physical, mental, intellectual, and even relational, we are called to embrace what we call especially equity, or a center of equilibrium in our balancing of life. We are called, or we are reminded, that we are not prone of these disorders or challenges of such kind. One way or another, we are in this category. The category of the poor, category of the homeless, the category of the unemployed, the category with the people with low education, victims of violence, indigenous populations, adolescent or childhood experiences, abuses, especially families, and neglection. So in one way or another, we may fall in these categories. All these are some of issues that affect our wellness of the status we have been talking about. So it becomes more apparent for us to crucially work on our health and stability. And in order to work on this stability, there are always ranges of costs that we need to have in mind, both economic, both friendly or family, both employee-employer relationships, and even for those who are searching the other relationship that you want us to talk about. So as those who are suffering, or those who have seen the sufferers, they're all what we call, or we categorize the costs into three: care cost, productivity cost, and other costs. If you say those who are suffering under these healths, the care costs, we have the treatment or service costs or cost, informal caregiving, and the productivity, low work ability because of work disabilities, timings, productivities, other costs, anguishes and sufferings, side effects, isolations, stigmas, and even what I said earlier, suicidal effects. But what is our encouragement with this sharing of today? As we check on the barriers, we have the barriers that comes with such a disorder or such unbalanced health. So the second point is on the barriers to people accessing such kind of health cares. Number one, we have the stigma. And statistics says that around the world, many people with mental disorders are victimized for their illness, and become targets of unfair discriminations. And their access of the essentials of the needs, basic needs, are limited. That is house, employment, societal normal opportunities are not given freely but compromised. So this, you see where a slight show of that kind of mental disability discriminates us or you. Discrimination on covers, especially health covers, is also a barrier. In many countries, in many situations, mental disorders are not covered by health insurances. I don't know why. And in that case, to afford treatment is not easy and it is costly. I don't know how unaweza tibu mwenda wazimu. Number 3, wrong priorities. How do we prioritize? And especially in such status. And as a nation, as a society, as a community, how do we relate to these people with such kind of challenges? We are here to develop skills, and skills